Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. And if it's your first time here, I'm Janetta, an author who loves to draw. On my channel, I focus on combining storytelling with art. If that's something you're interested in, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Let's get to it. Star stood in front of her largest commissioned artwork yet to come. The size of the crowd that came out for the reveal of her latest piece was astounding. Posing in front of the brick wall that held her mural, she smiled as pictures were snapped. Scanning the crowd, a familiar face caused her smile to turn over as her mind traveled back to a time when her artwork wasn't asked for or appreciated. A little over 10 years ago, she stood in the wee hours of the morning, having just finished tagging a wall in the same city she stood now. On instinct, she took off running at the sound of the siren. She heard a male voice say, "Stop, police!" But that only fueled her sprint. Her heart pounded because the thought of being captured or something worse produced an enormous amount of fear. Her mind amplified the sound of the feet chasing her and made it sound like it was an army after her. She spotted the break in the fence that she was looking for and dashed through the small opening, dipping low enough that her backpack wouldn't get caught. Please don't let one of the officers be small, she thought as she ran across the train tracks and headed towards a more populated area. If she could get to where the bars and restaurants were, there was a good chance of her blending into the weekend bar crowd. The sound of footsteps chasing her ceased after she dashed through the gate, but she didn't take any chances. She kept running until she made it to a street with enough people for her to blend into. Glancing around to make sure no police were near, she pulled off the hood covering her short locks and ran her hands through them. Since she was only 17, she knew that she wouldn't be able to hide in any of the bars, so she found a restaurant with outside seating and grabbed a seat. She slid out of her hoodie, stuffed it in her backpack, and set it under the table out of sight. "What can I get you?" The lanky waitress filled one of the glasses on the table with water. Uh, I'll take an order of fries and a strawberry shake." She picked up the water and chugged it down. The run had caught up with her, and she was sweaty and hot. When the waitress walked off, Star picked up a few napkins to dry the perspiration from her face. 30 minutes later, with a full belly and with no police lurking, she gathered her bag and headed home. It was 2:30 a.m. when she snuck back into her grandma's house. She grinned as she quietly entered the dark bedroom, feeling like she had gotten over on the world again. Suddenly, her desk light turned on and she heard, "So you are grown enough to sneak out of Mama's house now, little girl?" Star whipped around and saw her Aunt Chloe sitting in her desk chair. "Auntie, what are you doing here?" She and her aunt had never gotten along, and she suspected it was because her mother and aunt had a strained relationship. "Tomorrow is Mama's birthday, remember? I promised her I would come and spend it with her. I didn't get in town until an hour ago, and surprise, surprise, I let myself in only to find my naughty niece had snuck out once again. So I decided to wait up for you to see what mischief you got into this time. From the paint on your hands, I guess you were out destroying other people's property. You do know they make things called canvases and art journals where you can draw your little crap in, right? Or is it that you want to end up in jail with a record?" Star was tired and she didn't feel like she owed her aunt an explanation. Her grandmother was the only one she owed anything to, and she wasn't asking the questions. "Night, Aunt Chloe." Chloe stood and walked over to her and looked her dead in the eye. "I understand that you are angry at your parents. My sister dumped you onto our mother so she can go off and chase her singing dreams. Your dad likes to make guest appearances in your life. I get it. You're dealing with things, but you'll be 18 soon, and these chances you are taking are going to turn into serious problems. I know you don't like me, and I really don't care. But the one thing you can't say is I don't tell you the truth. Hear me when I say this. You better figure out what type of woman you are in here." She poked her in the chest for emphasis. "To me, she's looking like a waste of talent and space. Fortunately for you, it's not about what I think, it's about what you think. I'm guessing by your actions that though you won't admit it, right now we're both seeing the same thing." Chloe turned and walked out of Star's room. She hadn't seen much of her aunt since then, taking special care to avoid her whenever she came into town. Her words had hit hard and caused Star to take a hard look at herself. She set goals for herself and worked hard to attain them. Now here she stood in front of a wall she was paid well to paint. In the last couple of years, her art had become popular, and the opportunities it afforded her were mind-blowing. She looked at her Aunt Chloe standing next to her grandma and smiled again. She hadn't expected her to be there, but she was there. The look in her eyes told Star that once again they agreed on what they saw when they looked at her, but this time they both were proud. Hope you enjoyed today's story. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Until next time, be and stay blessed.